All right, I want to start with reading you a headline from NBC News. It says, suburban women help Biden win in 2020, and they may play an outsized role in key swing states again. Yes, the sleeper cell that could sway the 2024 election is the mom next door. And the truth is the GOP is struggling with her. They don't know how to connect. So I brought a couple of experts in who I love to give the GOP the answer maybe to the age-old question, what do women want? These two are hysterical. They have millions of followers. They say the conservative movement needs a makeover, and it does. Unless we want another 4 years of Joe Biden. I think they're right on this. But I have so much to talk to them. They will talk about anything from birth control to the border crisis to horse shorts. Please, you'll understand it in a minute. Welcome. Podcast hosts, entrepreneurs, moms, meme-making machines, the chicks on the right, Mock and Daisy. I learned something. I've been having problems with my eyes and floaters in my eyes and everything else. And maybe you've gone through that. But what I learned is those will go away. And it's not that they actually go away. We see with our brain and not with our eyes. The brain constantly senses what's happening and fills in so much. But the more narrow our field of vision gets, the harder the brain has to work. So we have to have strong eyes, but also to help the brain make optimal decisions, we also have to see as much as we possibly can. This is why you need as much vision field as you can, and much peripheral vision as possible. Vision is so important to humans that almost half of your brain capacity and 25% of our day's energy is dedicated just in seeing. All right, so what am I talking to you about? I'm talking to you about Rodenstock's biometric intelligent glasses. Your brain will adapt to them nearly instantly. You don't have to go home and get used to your glasses. They're going to feel natural and relaxing, and you'll have seamless visual experience and visual acuity, unlike you've had when you've worn glasses in the past. You can the peripheral vision, the vision down and up, it just blends. It's really easy on your eyes. Biometric intelligent glasses with artificial intelligence. They're at Rodenstock. You can find them now at Better Spectacles. Go now, betterspectacles.com/Beck. Schedule your teleoptical appointment. Get your glasses for 61% off now. betterspectacles.com/Beck. Mock, Daisy, I think I have to start, because if people don't know you, I think I have to start with the horse shorts.
We knew it.
Dang it. I was afraid of this.
I knew it.
Yeah.
That's part of our bio.
I mean,
yes.
You guys are, I've seen the photos.
Yeah.
What a couple of sluts you two are.
Right? I mean, her OnlyFans, I knew that was going to come up in the bio.
OnlyFans.
I just knew that was going to come up.
Dang, we were hoping to keep that on the DL.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
The horse shorts.
Well, you know what? It's an interesting story because we just thought we were taking best friend photos that we were going to have as our PR photos for our website.
Right.
And the hullabaloo that came out of those photos, because it was July when we took them, and I was in shorts, and you know what I mean? We were still modest.
I mean, I don't wear shorts in the summertime because I'm not a whore like you.
So
I don't know anybody but prostitutes that do wear shorts.
I know, right? Who wears shorts in the summertime? I ask you, Glenn.
Yeah.
But that was the reaction. And there was just a lot. We've had some people over the years, unfortunately, on our side of the aisle who were like, that's inappropriate, and you shouldn't show so much leg.
It's so crazy that I find this with religion sometimes. how people will just separate themselves from each other because, well, you're not Christian enough or you're not this. Yeah. And then, conservatives, and it's so strange because if you're more of a libertarian conservative, the whole idea is be who you are.
Like you do you.
And there's libertarians who are like, he's not a libertarian. Yeah. They're like, what? Wait a minute. I thought this was be you, boo. Yeah. But apparently not.
Yeah. We've been getting that for 15 years. We've been, in fact, the
whore shorts thing?
Well, just the you're not conservative. You're not this. You're not that. You don't fit in this compartmentalized little box that I've created for you. And we reject that. We've just always rejected that because we feel like if you feel like you're conservative and you have these conservative ideals, and just come sit at our table, man. Yes. It's what we want. And that's why I think we've just gathered like this group of misfits almost in our community. And that's what we're most proud of, is building community. That's what we've done, I think, really well. After this week is our 15-year anniversary. Gosh, we're like cockroaches. They can't kill us.
And what a nice treat.
After the wars, they were the cockroaches and the chicks on the right.
And this was the best way to spend a 15th anniversary.
Totally. What a wonderful way to do it.
I mean, you have radio background.
We do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's almost not easy to put people together or have people come together.
Well, we were together before. So we became best friends and started a website together back in 2008. And it wasn't until our website received an explosion of publicity because Facebook, we were the OGs of getting canceled on Facebook.
Wow.
Because of
back
a headline.
2008?
Yeah. 2000,
wow, what
2009. 2009.
What did you do back then?
Yeah. I had written a post and
it was the shorts again.
Yeah.
Amazingly, this wasn't about the shorts, but I had written an inflammatory headline about Jay Carney. So at the time I said something like, Jay Carney can kiss my assular area, I think is how I put it. And the trolls came out en masse, reported the post, and Facebook threatened to shut us down. And at that time, that was unheard of. And so it made news, and it even got talked about on The View. Oh, this site, Chicks on the Right, is getting shut down by Facebook.
Whoopi used, I remember nowadays she would never say, oh, their name is really cool. But like back then, remember, she said, that's a cool name, Chicks on the Right. Oh my gosh, how times have changed, right?
Well, she was never sincere. I know her, so she's never sincere.
I mean, just crazy.
But by the time the radio thing happened, that's why. So we got heard about, our popularity exploded at that point, and so people started hearing about us, including the local Indianapolis program director for WIBC. And so he reached out and said, have you ever done radio? And we had appeared as guests on a bunch of shows, and we were like, yeah, we'll come on your show. He said, no, I was thinking more like you would have a show. And then we auditioned with a lot of other bigwigs and somehow managed to score Afternoon Drive.
Yeah, when they offered us Afternoon Drive, we went into this.
That's a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
But we didn't know.
We didn't realize how big of a deal it was. And we went into this conference room with a bunch of these bigwigs at WIBC. And I asked them if they were drunk. Because I remember that day, like it was yesterday, because we just couldn't believe it, because we both were in the corporate world and doing this Chicks on the Right thing on the side. And it's always been like our little baby. And when that happened, we thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. What a blessing that was. I mean, we were so grateful for the opportunity. And we did that for 8 years, about 8 years in radio. And then I moved here to Texas. And then our podcast, we were doing that simultaneously for a couple years. And then it was just a divine thing. I think our connection, the fact that we were best friends, that was very divine, the way we met.
How'd you guys meet?
That's such a story.
It's the best story ever, actually.
Very serendipitous.
So she grew up in Georgia, as did my husband. And but then she was in Indianapolis. I was in Indianapolis. I was a corporate recruiter, and I was looking for a writer. She was a medical writer at the time. And I had interviewed her on the phone. I'd found her resume. She'd applied. I interviewed her. It didn't work out for whatever reason, and that was back in 2007. And then in 2008, when people were starting to get really, really comfortable with Facebook and using it a lot, back in the day, you could see if you had a friend that became friends with someone else.
Right.
And I saw that one of the groomsmen in our wedding, who was from Atlanta, like my husband, was friends with her on Facebook. And I remembered her name because she hyphenated it on Facebook. And it's an unusual last name. I don't know if you want to...
Yeah, my maiden name is Putz. I mean...
So I
This is why I have a
remembered
good
it.
sense of humor.
My gosh,
I
Right.
remembered
Uh-huh.
it, obviously. And I reached out to our groomsmen online. I was like, why do you know her? Like, I know I interviewed her here in Indianapolis. And he said, well, I grew up with her and so did your husband. So then I immediately had to contact her and say,
She
I know
stopped.
you
Stay
don't
away from
remember.
my husband.
Thank God we have a date.
Oh,
That's all
you're
I have
not
to
the
say.
horror short.
I wasn't.
No,
She's the horror short. Right. And she stalked me. I mean,
I did stalk you.
She stalked me a little. I was a little afraid of her at first. I was like, she's a little.
Because you know how
Joint.
you know when you're just going to connect with someone?
Yeah, but that sometimes scares
It was
other
a little
people.
scary. It was
yeah,
a little scary.
it
Am I
is.
scary?
But
I'm
she was
not.
a little bit.
No,
She'd
but
be a
you're
little
not
bit.
saying, I know we're supposed to be together.
I didn't say
That
that
gets
right
a little.
away.
She didn't, but she was very persistent, and she was like, "We got to meet. And I said, "Okay, fine." You know, she was wanting me to come in to meet her to talk about this job that she had, and I already had a job, and so I was like, "I really don't need to do this, but I'll meet her anyway because it's the right thing to do." You know, because this background that we have in common. So I went and I met her, and it was like stepbrothers. Did we just become best friends? It was kind of that.
My best friend and I, we met through radio, and we didn't think we'd like each other at all over the phone. But somebody said, you two have to get together. By the time we hit the airport exit, we were best friends.
I mean,
Oh my God.
I mean, it's-
instantaneous.
yeah, you just know.
We just knew. And then since we've just been kind of inseparable ever since. So
And that was the summer of 2008, and she did come work for my company.
I did.
And
Yeah.
and we had never been political at that point, really ever. I mean, we voted, and that was about the extent of our interest.
I don't think people, I mean, I wasn't until 2001.
really?
Yeah. I hated politics. I hated talk radio.
Yeah.
I hated it all. I went in kind of like with Fox. When I went to Fox, I kind of mocked it from the inside. Mm-hmm. That's what I was doing on talk radio until September 11th. And then it got serious
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
Yeah, it was pivotal. And for us, it was Obama.
Mm-hmm.
It was, who is this guy? Everybody thinks he's a rock star. This is so weird. What's
So you
happening?
were racist. Your racist tendencies.
Obviously.
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Obviously, we've
Yeah.
called that
Without
a lot since
Yeah.
2008. But that was just a very strange phenomenon for us. And so we talked about that a lot over chips and salsa. We would go to the Mexican restaurant at lunch because we worked together. And
we like culturally appropriating, obviously.
right, totally. Exactly. Totally. With our
Full gamut.
Again, with the racism.
margaritas,
You embrace it because you're racist.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
So
know.
we would go to lunch every day and we were talking about it. And I'm like, you know what? We should start a website because the way that we talk about this is in a way that a lot of people aren't talking about it, which is very conversational and, just two chicks talking about politics. And so we came up with the idea of Chicks on the Right, and we did blog in a way that was very conversational. And it kind of gained a cult following at the beginning. Weirdly enough, it was just like our parents at first reading it.
I don't even think my parents read it.
My parents made.
I don't think they did.
I'd like to think my parents read it at first, and then we gained a little cult following, and then it kind of snowballed a little from there, and then we got the whole deal where we were shut down, and then we got a little bit more and more, and then it just sort of became what it is today. It's crazy, and I feel like a lot of it really is. I mean, for lack of a better phrase, it is divine. I feel like we were supposed to be doing this because there have been times along the way in the past 15 years where, at least I won't speak for you, but I've tried to walk away from it because I've been thinking, well, maybe, we're getting a little too old for this, or
We're hens now.
We're
not chicks anymore.
Because we've never reached the
hens
level,
on the right.
the hens on the right. We've never reached the level where we're like superstardom. We've always had just a nice, steady level of success. And we both have worked in corporate America. Between the two of us, we've been in corporate America. We were for a collective like half a century. So, I mean, I've always thought, well, maybe the right thing to do is to work in corporate America. And so I've tried to step away, a time or two, and it's always pulled me back. And so there's just...
I'm irresistible.
Right. It's... and very modest.
Very much. I think her
Extremely.
humility is their
Totally.
best quality.
That and the horse shorts.
Yeah.
Right.
So explain the names.
So before Chicks on the Right, I had a blog that I set it up with a few friends back in the day and then took it over completely. And it was all about just wanting to poke fun at strange people, celebrities, even some politics here and there. And so I knew it was going to be a blog dedicated and that I wanted to write about things in a mocking way. I wanted to mock things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd asked my husband at the time, I need a name, because I knew that the site name was going to be the Mock Doc, because it just worked. And I said, but I need a name to go with that, because I don't want to use my real name, because there's crazies out there. And he said, how about the Macarena? And I was like, I love that. And so it's always been shortened to Mock, and that's how I came to be known. And it just sort of transferred over when we started Chicks on the Right. And interestingly, when we were in radio and we switched from afternoons to mornings, there was a time when we thought we should go by our real names. We've written a book under our real names. We should actually try to establish our real names now that everybody knows who we are anyway. And our audience revolted. They were like, you cannot do that. We know you as Mock and Daisy.
And we were like, okay.
And so we just left
Where did Daisy come from?
It's not as interesting. I just like the flower date. I had to come up with a moniker, and I have a tattoo of a daisy on my hip. And so I was like, I'll just go with Daisy. It works. So it's not nearly as interesting.
Yeah, you got to come up with a better story.
I know, right?
Just make something up.
I do, don't I?
You really do.
I got to lie
You
and
do.
come up with something better.
So, you and I have something in common. I have a daughter with cerebral palsy.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think I did know that.
Yeah, and she's not in the situation that your son is in. Why don't you explain for anybody who doesn't know you guys, your situation with your son?
So my older son is 27, and he was born premature. Both my kids were, actually. So my oldest son was born at 30 weeks, and it was a completely disastrous birth. It was just a complete nightmare. And I was it was on a Saturday. I had no idea that I was even ill, but I had preeclampsia, and so it became an emergency. And I was sent to a teaching hospital where there were no staff physicians monitoring the monitor that I was hooked up to. Yeah, so it took about 8 hours before they realized, his heartbeat is decelerating with every contraction. Maybe we should get him out. And so by the time they did get him out, he was blue. And so he suffered, obviously, a lack of oxygen to the brain, which is the cause of that. And then on top of cerebral palsy, he had periventricular leukomalacia, which is a mouthful, but it is a damage to the white matter of the brain. So that actually, I think, is what caused most of his disabilities, because cerebral palsy, as you know, is
kind of a blanket.
Yeah, I mean, you just really have no idea how involved someone will be. And so he's been been completely dependent on others for every aspect of his care since he was itty bitty.
When my daughter was born, they said if this happened to an adult, you'd never walk, talk, feed themselves, et cetera, et cetera. I lucked out. My daughter's just an absolute miracle. But it is probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Yeah, it's not easy.
She's at the point where you wouldn't notice, you would just notice some things were off, but you wouldn't know exactly what it was. And she is the brightest, sweetest, kindest person. And I always feel, I don't know, I've always felt like I'm going to answer for just not having the patience or dedicating my everything to, and I know you did, and now you get heat because you can't physically handle him.
Yeah, because we moved him into like I don't want to say assisted living, but I guess that's kind of what it is. Okay. It's a house. It's just a regular house that he shares with a roommate now, which has 24-hour care. And I'm getting heat, or I have gotten heat recently, because I made that sort of public that we're moving from Indianapolis to South Carolina. He's going to be staying in Indiana in his house because they have remarkable care there. And it was a really difficult decision to move him because, we'd cared for him for 23 years. Yeah. And all of a sudden to realize our bodies are breaking and we're not going to be able to do this any longer. And we're not giving our younger son the kind of life that he needs to have. We could never go anywhere as a family, for example, because of the wheelchair van only fitting a certain number of people. I mean, there were always other factors to take into account. But yeah, I've gotten some recent heat about that. And interestingly, I wanted you to know that I started listening to you during the Terri Schiavo story.
Oh, wow.
And it meant so much to me that your take on it, because the pictures of her and the videos of her responding to her parents reminded me so much of my son.
Oh,
That's exactly the look, right? That look of joy. That's why her story connected with me so much, and why I started following you.
I tell you, that was the, I was on the other side at first because I didn't really think it through.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I wouldn't want to be that way. Well, wait a minute. And then I got to know the family, and I believe she was absolutely there. Just not in the way she was, but she was absolutely there. And any society that devalues life is in trouble. And we are in big trouble.
Yeah, because they told you that Thomas wasn't supposed to live past a certain age. And and being her best friend for 16 years, I look at all the things that she's been through with him, and he's just
teenagers are hard enough.
Right.
Just teenagers.
Exactly. But then when you add, he's got to have surgery this week, he's got to do this, this happened to him. It's like a lot of physical stuff that happens. And personality wise, he can't speak. He can't tell you what's wrong with him, but he's just like her. He's just like her. Because his disposition.
He also wears horse shorts.
He wears the horse shorts. But he is just like in the respect that he's so positive. You know what I mean? The fact that he is 27 is just remarkable. He's a freaking superhero. That kid.
Is.
And so that's a testament to the human spirit. He's a rock star. That kid. I get emotional when I talk about that because I've seen what she's gone through. And. It's just that kid's remarkable. She's remarkable. He's remarkable. And people who judge that, I want to punch them in the face. You know what I mean? You just can't, unless you've lived that experience, it's just not okay to judge it,
And, it's like with everything. We all have different tolerance levels,
right.
and it's some people it's just so easy.
Yeah.
And others, besides being physical, it's difficult. It's difficult. My daughter has a tough time communicating times, and I always walk away just thinking, a better man could do this. A better man could break through and understand, and it just plays games with you.
Yeah.
At least it did with
No,
me.
I totally get it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the state of the world first. You guys are happy and optimistic. How do you do that?
We just did a deep dive about my rage that I had earlier this week, as a matter of fact, because we were having an unseasonably nice day in Indianapolis, and I took a walk through our neighborhood. And I have been, you can ask her, anybody can vouch, I have been the happy, optimistic person since I was itty bitty. That's just my nature. I laugh all the time. I love to laugh. I love it. And I'm genuinely a happy person. But this last few years has made me so angry in so many ways. And we have a responsibility, I feel like we do, to our audience to be happy warriors, because that's how we've always been. But it has become harder over these last few years. And earlier this week when I took my walk, I realized that I saw strangers in the neighborhood that were Hispanic that got out of their car suddenly with big bags and were looking very suspicious. And ultimately, I think that they were putting flyers in everybody's mailbox to sell whatever service they might have been selling. But the rage I felt that I was afraid, where I would have never been afraid of that 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And now
Why are you afraid now?
Because of the border, because of all the crime, because of how people have become so humanity-less. You know what I mean? There's just this lack of humanity and love for one another. And I am fearful, which I've never been before, in ways that I've never been before. And so I had to vent to her, and I was like, I'm so mad at Joe Biden for making me afraid and for making me angry, because that's not who I am.
It's weird, because I think she started out more as everything is great. When we started the site, she was very much of that. She saw everything with rose-colored glasses, and I was more of the cynic. And I think we've switched places.
We totally have.
It's really weird how we've
That's
switched
good.
places.
That's a good relationship. My wife and I are like that.
Really? Yeah.
Where, one is up, the other one is down. That's great.
And so we've just it's weird how
otherwise you're both down.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's right that we do have a responsibility to our audience, so we try to keep it upbeat. And we're best friends. We like to have fun. It's not like when you have a friend or when you have a marriage or whatever. You don't want to be doom and gloom all the time. You want to have fun together. So I think doing it together, doing what we do together, as opposed to doing it as a solo operation, makes it like we're having a party every day. We're having a girls' day out every day. I mean, even though we're having to talk about really serious things, and we touch on the serious things, but we always end our show. We'll do like an hour and a half show, sometimes 2 hours, depending on what kind of a news cycle it is. But we'll always end the show with funny TikToks or funny stories or,
you guys are meme machines.
We do like funny memes. We'll try to find positive, good things in every single day because, we're in a cycle of suck right now where things are just not. They're just not that great. I mean, I live in Texas, and we're on the border, and so I understand that things are not the greatest, and so I try to pep her up. She tries to pep me up. We do it with our audience, and that is our responsibility.
And it's not to say that even when I have these flashes of rage, that what we do on our show isn't genuine, because it absolutely is, and we do genuinely have a great time. Mm-hmm. But I've found the longer that you're in sort of this world where you are consuming the news and the news cycle constantly, and you never get a break because you have to know what's going on.
It's 24/7.
I have to have like meltdowns a couple of times a year where I have to on a weekend just watch, Steel Magnolias or like Beaches or something and just let it out because otherwise it will wreck you. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be someone who's filled with rage. And so I know the way, I know how to self-care enough that like I know I need a good cry sometimes and then I'll be fine. And then I'll get right back to it. But I've noticed that the rage comes more often under this administration than it ever has before.
I just have cows. So,
that helps.
Cows
that does help.
And dogs.
It does help.
Totally.
Yeah, I learned a phrase. We were having a problem with one of my teenagers, and we just didn't know what to do. So we went to a psychologist or psychiatrist and said, all right, we're losing our minds. And he said, remember this phrase. It's going to be interesting to see how you work that out. And I said, wait, what? He said, you say that to teenagers. They're old enough to work it out now, and they dump all these things on you, and you as the parent feel like, I gotta get them. He said, start saying the phrase, I'm interested to see how you're going to work that out.
I love that.
I love that.
I love it. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. That's what, and so I've been saying that about the news now lately. It's like,
interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Senator. Yeah. I love that. That is fantastic.
Yeah, just a little easier. So you guys are about as big a fans of the Republican Party, I think, as I am.
Oh, yeah. Huge fans.
Yeah, just love them. They can't get out of their own way.
God. Oh, yeah.
So
we say that a lot.
Yeah.
I think we say it in probably a more vulgar way.
Yeah.
They step on their own, what, a lot. Yeah, they do that. And it gets very frustrating because for 15 years, we feel like we've been saying a lot of the things where their PR is terrible.
Horrible.
They can't get and it seems like it's such an obvious fix. A lot of these things are so.
But a lot of them are 81 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like not. I mean, it is time for that generation to let
I hear you.
go.
Yes.
But they also, I mean, I think the party is stronger on constitutional things than it has been in the 25 years I've been watching.
Yeah.
But they're still not in charge.
Why do you think that they stay so long? Why are these old people hanging on? Is it because of power?
Power and money.
It's the power. It's the power and money.
And they all come out wealthy.
Yeah, but I mean,
Never
Obama
supposed
said
to do that.
at some point you've made enough money, right? So what
Has
is that?
he?
What's that
Has
amount,
he
Glenn?
made-
What
yeah.
is it?
I'm wondering.
What's the figure?
I'll wait for him to tell us that amount.
Yeah, I'd like to know
Long
what
past the
what
time
the
he's past
actual
it.
monetary figure is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But one of the problems you guys have, I think, is, and rightfully so, the right's inability to connect with women.
Yeah.
And we're right here.
We're
Like,
right-
I mean,
I know.
it doesn't seem hard. And yet, we're also disillusioned by a lot of the suburban moms that we are lumped in with, right?
Yeah.
Because we think so differently. I mean, there's so much of this white guilt that so many liberal suburban moms are bogged down with that we cannot relate to at all.
Yeah. The ones that put like the things around their faces during COVID
Right.
and their Facebook profile, and they're like, I just got vaccinated, and like all that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, and they virtue signal, and they feel guilty about things, and we don't identify with that at all. We're just not those people. But there are a lot of women like us.
I think there are. I want to believe there are.
We feel like there are. They're out there. They come to our meet and greets. They hang out with us. They talk to us. We have a great community. I mean, they're there. And I feel like those people represent more people that just haven't found us, or they just don't say that they found us. So we feel like they exist. We feel like there are more women like us that have common sense. It's
all
there.
it
all it
is.
It's common sense.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
a lack of, I think it's a lack of gratitude,
yeah.
a lack of humility, a lack of compassion more and more, and common sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
If
And that's
we were
what,
just grateful for a few things, it would be nice.
Yeah.
Yes, the graciousness. That's what I try to always teach my daughter. My daughters, I have a stepdaughter and a daughter is 14, and I'm just like, just be grateful. Be grateful that you're American, that you live in this country. You could be living in a crap hole country somewhere and not have you. She's a swimmer. She's a state level swimmer, and I always say there are countries where you're not even allowed to swim. Imagine that. I mean, you can't wear this, you can't do this, you can't drive, you can't think of the just the freedom you have as a woman to be a woman.
Is the women's movement a sham?
Totally.
Is there a women's movement now, or is it just
it's an abortion movement?
right?
Yeah.
That's basically
An
or
abortion
free the
movement.
nipple movement.
But what is a woman now? I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah,
People
that's a
apparently
great
have
point.
trouble defining it now. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if that exists anymore. The way that we used to know a women's movement to exist.
Speaking of swimming, it's like there is right. They can't define what a woman is, and then there are men trampling in our spaces, and so it's.
I mean, I think it's the most anti-woman thing I've seen in my lifetime.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all of that work to define a woman as strong and independent and, the individual.
Yeah.
And all of it now, and women being shamed if they don't say, he's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Or he can come and play in my sport.
Right.
Like, what is that? And where are the feminists? Where are they? We always ask that question, and there's crickets.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, where are the feminists on, I love these people who are the LGBTQ community that is protesting and marching for Hamas or Palestine. And you're like, they'll kill
Right.
you.
Who's going to tell them?
Yeah. Could I buy you a bus ticket?
Right.
Because when you get over there, you might realize they don't feel the same way about you.
Craziness.
It's bananas. We were talking about, was it a Reddit thread that we saw? The trans ideology has become so ridiculous and so offended by everything and so demanding of others to not just accept but embrace and adore them. And they get so hurt if you don't, use the pronouns or do whatever. There was a thread on, I think it was Reddit, where someone had written in on behalf of their friend who was a trans woman who had just sent away for a 23andMe test. And the 23andMe test came back showing that he was a man. And they asked, is there any way that they can be more accommodating to trans people?
It's
It's
science.
DNA.
Right.
I mean, like, what do
Yeah.
you want to? I don't. How
Science
do you
is
accommodate
transphobic
this?
now. It's like biology. Science is data. It's transphobic.
It's just
Well,
madness.
there's this big move to leave modernity, that modernity is the problem. That's the Enlightenment.
Oh my gosh.
That's, proving things through facts.
Yeah. Well, facts are hurtful. They're hurtful now.
They're so mean.
I mean, they're super mean.
Facts can hurt. When I was an alcoholic and people said, "You're a drunk."
Yeah.
That hurt. But it was true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if a man dresses up as a woman and does all the things and he tries to identify as a woman and you say, but you're still a man, that's hurtful. Well, it's still reality.
It's still true.
Dude, you can wear a dress if you want. But I don't, my line here is, if I take you to the hospital, do I say that you're a woman or a man?
Right.
If you're bleeding out and you got some problem going on, the first thing I'm going to say is, she's a he.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know? So why should I be forced to lie the rest of the time?
Or if they dig your bones up 100 years from now, what are they going to say you are?
Right.
Yeah. Facts are facts.
Even when they're mean.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to this movement. It's weird because we always overcorrect. We're good in the middle. You know what I mean? When we're too collective, we're a problem. When we're too me, we're a problem. We're just good when humans are good, usually in the middle. We're overcorrecting, I think, with the trad movement, the trad wives. Talk to me about that.
That's interesting because they, did it start on TikTok? I don't even know where this began.
Probably everything crazy starts on TikTok.
But isn't it just sort of an influencer? It's like people have run out of things. Yeah, everything cycles back. And so people have run out of ways to influence.
Well, I think everything is extreme now. It's like we're going to extremes. It's like instead of just like experiencing a balance, like if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, that's fantastic. I think people should be encouraged to do whatever they want to do. As a woman, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, be a stay-at-home mom. If you want to be a traditional like wife and mother, do that. But now they're like, everybody should be a trad wife, or you see what I'm saying? Like there's also we've talked about this in podcasts where people have gone the route of women shouldn't work outside of the home. They shouldn't work. We've done deep dives on this. And I'm not sure where that comes from. I'm not sure in the conservative movement why that would be appealing for people. I think we should be encouraging women to do what they want to do. If that's work outside the home, that's great. If they want to stay home, that should be stay home. That falls into the line of freedom.
Well, isn't this, it's the conservatives are doing what the old liberals used to do.
Yes.
And that was shame you for going to, or not going to work, for staying at home.
Yes.
Oh, well, you're just a mom.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big job that I don't want. You're just a mom. So they were shaming and saying, you have to go to work or you're not a woman. Well, can't we just live our lives and let everybody choose?
Exactly. There's a pendulum swing. It's like it was like shaming them, and then we went all the way over to the other side where it was like people were working at home, people were working outside the home, the women were working outside the home, and that was too much. And then it's like there needs to be a balance, We
went through the same thing is happening with contraception.
It's so happening with birth control.
Yeah.
We're going through the birth control thing now. We just did a deep dive on birth control, where a lot of these young women influencers, conservatives, are saying, don't take birth control. We're Gen Xers. So, we're a little bit older, just a little bit, just a tiny bit older. So we've lived through a couple more years of, we've seen birth control, maybe from a different perspective, where some people were helped by it. Other people were harmed by it. But I think that we can find a happy medium where it, just decide on your own. Do I want to take it or do I not want to take it? It may work for some people. It may not work for other people. But that should be an individual.
Some people shouldn't have lots of babies.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm not one for sterilization, but give me a couple more years and I might be. But, there are some people that they would have birth control because they know.
Yeah.
I don't, If you don't want to be a mom or a dad, you shouldn't be one.
Yeah, we know people, we know women who are like that, who have chosen, they're lovely. They're lovely. There are a lot of like lovely women that we know, we're like, gosh, she would have made the most wonderful mother, but they have chosen not to.
Right.
For whatever reason. They just don't want to be mothers, and that's okay. That's their choice.
I think the reason that we ended up doing a deep dive on the contraception issue in particular just a week or two ago.
I can't even believe, I mean, I honestly cannot believe we're having this conversation.
Right.
Because I've heard this trope from the left for so long.
Yeah.
They want to take away your birth control. And I'm like,
gosh.
oh, shut up.
It's ridiculous.
But to have people actually seriously say,
you shouldn't
You
take
shouldn't
it.
take
Yeah,
it.
because it's harmful. Like you shouldn't take it.
That's the thing is that those same young influencers who, by the way, don't even have kids yet or aren't married yet, are injecting their faces with all kinds of chemicals while they rail against the bad things that are in birth control.
It's like,
it's just like
Botox is botulism.
I know.
It's a toxin. You're shoving that
So
in.
it's just, that's what led us, I think, ultimately to do that conversation about it, because we're just like, we're seeing the hypocrisy, and it's this judgmental tone that some of these young influencers are taking.
Yeah.
That we're like, how about you just let women make the best choices for themselves?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, it would be great if conservatives could sort of take a step back and realize that we are like the party of personal responsibility.
yeah.
Yeah. So do that.
So I saw an influencer and I said, look at this woman. Excuse me. And my wife said, we know that family. And I was like, wait, what? It's a woman who lives maybe in Wyoming. She has like 8 kids. They churn their own butter. They live like, I would never, ever want to churn my own butter. There's no reason.
Well, especially when you can go to
do
Family
that.
Dollar and buy it.
Right.
You know what
I mean,
it's
there
like
is
right there.
no reason. But they live this really old style life by choice.
Yeah.
And they're not saying you should live that way. They just do.
Yeah.
And I think it's nuts.
Yeah.
It's cool to watch. I don't believe that the children, all 8 children, are like happily churning butter, when the camera's not on. But there is, in really thinking about this family, there is something about all of this, our phones and everything else that you like, I don't want any of that.
I get that.
I want a blender.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to buy
You like your smoothies.
I like my smoothies.
Right,
yeah.
I get it.
But there is something to be said.
I get it. I mean, I get that because we have a little ranch, and I understand this. I like going out and being outside and having the simplicity of nature. I mean, I understand the need for that. And there are days where I'm like, I hate my phone. I hate social media. I get it. But can we go back? I mean, can we? At this point, like the toothpaste is out of the tube, don't you think?
I think we could if we were forced to be.
Which we might be.
Yeah.
We might be.
Because I've been paranoid about EMPs and like power grid stuff for decades. I've been worried about it.
She has been, yeah.
And now it seems more likely than ever that it's just a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
I tell you, with AI, you both are religious,
Yep.
right? Yeah. With AI, I've thought, because I've been on AI since the 90s, and watching it and trying to figure out how society going to deal with this and how will it deal with society. And it's an alien life form.
I don't like it.
It's scary.
It is scary.
It needs to be burned with fire. Don't like it
Yeah, I don't like it either.
at all.
But I thought, in the old biblical story of the Tower of Babel, there's in the Hebrew oral tradition, there's several faces of God. The one that comes down is not the angry God. The one that comes down to destroy the Tower of Babel is the loving God. He comes down and sees his people trapped in slavery. And so what does he do? Because they're building this tower that will make them like gods, he confuses their language so no one can talk to each other. And I thought, that's what an EMP would do.
Uh-huh.
It would confuse our language so we couldn't communicate. with each other.
When we've gotten so used to communicating with each other the way we do.
It would disconnect us.
It would force us to go back and do real relationships and real communication. It would be horrendous.
First it would destroy a lot of things.
Right. She always jokes that I would
people.
last 45 minutes without power.
I think about 25. And
I think I'd be praying for death, within the week.
A lot of people would. A lot of people would not survive that. And then you're right. And then people would get back to actually connecting on it. Because, I think about, again, we're Gen Xers. And so I remember the days where you would actually connect with people and you talk to them on the phone. And I try to encourage that with my 14-year-old daughter. I'm like, get on the phone and talk to your friends. Talk to them. Talk to them for 2 hours like I used to talk to my best friends. Get to know them. Have that intimacy with people because that is so missing in this generation. And I weep for them.
That's what makes us inhumane to each other.
Totally. Because we see it. We've lived it for the past 15 years. It's like when we started our site, we never realized we would get the amount of hate that we did, the death threats. We put 2 guys in jail. It's like there's the amount of hate that you get from people who don't know you is...
Does it drive you crazy that you'll hear once in a while from a lefty, I published this article, and I feel like I'm getting hate. I'm getting death threats. And you're like,
welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to the party. Yeah, that's my life for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
You wrote an article and people were mean.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah.
I feel so bad for you.
Yeah.
That's when you respond with the meme of Taylor Lorenz crying.
It's like, I'm so sorry that happened.
How do you guys deal with that?
We've gotten thick skin.
So much better.
Over the years.
Now we have a wall of shame. We just make money off those people.
It's true. That's my favorite.
But at the beginning, it really hurt. It hurt to be called a racist at the beginning. It hurt to be. Oh my gosh, it hurt
because
so bad.
Because we were sincere about it.
Yeah. And now you get called a racist. You're like, whatever. It's like it just doesn't. That word means nothing. Isn't that terrible?
Horrible.
That word means nothing now.
Well. What's worse is it means the opposite to some people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It means because you're white, you're unforgivable. You're a racist.
Yep.
But you're unforgivable because of what white people have done. You're like, what? I think that's the definition.
Right.
I know it's old school, or at least school.
Yes.
But
and it's like they overuse racist so much that they had to move on to white supremacist. And even we've gotten that.
We've gotten all the names.
It's crazy. Yeah, we've all the terrible names we've gotten. So now it doesn't really bother us at all, which is weird. Because we actually were really nice people when we started our site.
We're a little more jaded now.
We're a little bit more, a little more thick-skinned. So
more with the chicks on the right here in a second. First, let me tell you about Lear Capital. Our values are under attack. Our financial system is not just under attack. It's broken, quite frankly. They've broken it starting in 2008, really, when we bailed out all the banks, and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And your dollar will become worth less and less and less. Safest way to invest and protect yourself and your family from whatever happens ahead, may I recommend you protect your hard-earned savings with gold, an asset that I trust. I did work with Lear Financial. I actually bought my first gold way back in the day when Rush Limbaugh was talking about Lear Capital. And I bought my gold then, and it is worth much, 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 much more now, thank God. But my original sales representative is still at Lear. The investment that I made is still great. Lear helped me prepare for the coming insanity at the very beginning, and they can help you do the same. Don't wait around for things to get worse. Do what's right for your money today. $3 billion in trusted transactions have happened with Lear. Thousands of 5-star reviews and a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee in case you're like, I don't know if I should have done that. Don't have to worry about it. Precious metals leader that you can trust. Get your free wealth protection guides, and Lear will also credit your account $250 toward your purchase just because you got it from me. 800-957-GOLD. 800-957-GOLD. Do you ever, because you are mean machines, do you ever come across things and you're like, I wish I wouldn't have done that? I wish I wouldn't have said that.
There are times I will, because I handle our Instagram and she handles our Twitter. And sometimes I will see something and then I'll run it by her and I'll be like, Mom, what do you think? Because
for some reason she thinks I'm going to have a better filter.
Because I'm like, my filter's down. I can't tell today. I don't know about my filter. And so sometimes we'll just run things by each other. And I don't know, are we even good filters for each other? Because
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because we want to say
we
all
run
the
stuff
things
by each other too. Here
Yeah.
we end up doing it. It doesn't always work out the best.
But there are glimmers of hope about that, right? When you see the success of Chappelle, or the fact that Shane Gillis was just on SNL doing actual,
that monologue.
Fantastic.
That was,
that gave me hope.
I know.
Yes.
I thought that was a watershed moment.
Yep. Is comedy coming back?
Yeah. And the one thing authoritarians do not like is comedy.
Yes.
Which why Barack Obama was always just portrayed as this nice guy.
Yes.
It's like he's never the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
Never.
Right. Well, you couldn't do that because racist, right?
Right. And but you can't do it against Biden because it's racist too. But for that to happen, and for him to use words that have been long banned, was shocking and refreshing. We lose our sense of humor.
Yes.
We're done.
I know. We missed the 80s and
There
90s.
was when we first started radio, it was early on, and we were making fun. I don't know, there was a Grammy or award show or whatever, and we had made fun of Miley Cyrus. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just so retarded. And oh my gosh, the blow up that happened over that was extraordinary.
And isn't that amazing coming from a mom?
Yes.
Right. And so I felt like I had some moral authority on that topic. So when we started getting the emails, and I never meant anything against people with mental disabilities. That word had been, it's like when people say, oh, that's so gay.
She just meant something against Miley Cyrus.
It is exactly like the N-word is to the African-American community.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that.
It doesn't. And so
Exactly.
I was stunned at the instant rebuke that I got from so many people. And, we had just started and I got all worried. Oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. But we ended up writing an entire chapter about that in our book in 2014, because I was like, you know what, I've got some things to say about this, and all of this manipulation of language and this, people not understanding the spirit of intention behind words and instantly just judging you for being some sort of demon.
And also how they change the rule book.
Right. The rules always
changes
change.
all the time. And it's like, it used to not be that way when we were growing up and when we were in our 20s and 30s. And then they all of a sudden are like, oh, the rules have changed, just FYI.
Yeah.
Well, where's the book?
And I think the last thing
I love the fact that the language changed overnight. For a period, it seemed like every day there was a new word. And everybody on TV knew the word, but I had never even heard the word before.
Yeah.
Can you send me the appendix? Because I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And that's why we finished out that chapter, and there was like a line in it. I'm paraphrasing my own self at this point because I don't remember exactly how we wrote it.
Yes.
But we said something like, my son, and I referred to my son has mental retardation. Miley Cyrus is retarded, and there is a difference. And we were referring to that moment where she brought twerking to the mainstream.
Well,
that was what we were referring to.
I don't think there was a higher cultural moment than that.
Absolutely.
I can see why the rest of the world looks at us and says, wow.
But that's what Shane Gillis is getting all the heat for using that word in his monologue. And I don't know, maybe, I just really felt like you said, like that was a watershed moment, and maybe people are starting to come around and not be so insane.
And loosen up.
Yeah.
So I remember when political correctness back in the late 80s, early 90s started, and it was like, handicapable. If it's handicapable, in one generation, it will mean the same thing as handicap.
Exactly.
What are you doing? But I don't remember what they were, but there were a few things that I'm like, Okay, well, if that makes people feel better, that's fine. I don't care. Boy, what a mistake that was.
Yeah.
What a mistake that was. Because
It's
we gave
there's
people
like a spiral.
permission.
Yeah.
Change the language, control the conversation.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And then there was differently abled. And I mean, there's so many ridiculous words. And, as a mom of a kid with special needs, I think that's another way of saying, at some point, I just want to just be able to say things and not have to worry, who am I offending? Whose toes am I stepping on? What's the correct word du jour?
Yeah.
It's all such nonsense.
And she was like, all of this manipulation is retarded.
Exactly. Yeah. It
That's
is.
basically what you were thinking.
It's gay and retarded.
It is.
So
We're so never coming back to the show again.
the opinions of the guest are not necessarily.
We're never coming back. We're
No,
never
you're welcome
back.
here anytime. I will tell you, though, I have 4 children. 2 of my daughters they look at me all the time because I'll say, that is so retarded.
Yeah.
And they look at me,
Dad,
Dad,
you can't say that.
don't say that word
Yeah.
anymore.
We
And-
have that. Yeah.
Yeah, you have that too?
I have that
yeah.
too. Yeah. And my daughter's, for all intents and purposes, she's pretty conservative. I would say she's a conservative kid, but there are things you can't say now.
I know. So let me ask you this question. Because I just turned 60, so I'm older than you guys. And I'm like, well, I remember my grandpa, and he was 65, and he would say, and I'd go, Grandpa, you can't say
can't
that
say
anymore.
that.
And
Yeah.
you really couldn't. And he was like,
He's Archie Bunker.
Right. And I'm like, gosh, am I just not recognizing it now? And I am my grandfather.
Yeah, but don't you, like my husband's 60, but once you get to a certain age, because
You
I feel
don't
like,
care.
well, I think you get a pass. I think that's,
I don't think I'm there
Oh, she-
yet.
really?
I think that used to be 60.
I think 55. I think once you get to like a certain age, you're like, you know what, I can say what I want. Y'all can bugger off.
Yeah, I think
She said
I like
bugger.
that, and I'm pushing for that.
I think we should all
I'm
push
pushing
for it.
that.
I think at
Yeah.
this table, we should
Yeah,
just decide.
okay. All right,
if they
good.
get to decide on language, we get to decide on that, you guys. Yeah.
It's well before the age of our president. I'll just say that.
Yes.
And everybody
indeed.
goes, it's
Everything.
Grandpa. He
Yeah.
just, it bothers me that's what we have our State Department saying
Exactly.
that he's old. Don't
He's
take him.
very well-meaning, though.
Yeah.
Just give him some ice cream.
Yeah. So what do you think happens? What is coming our way?
Oh my gosh. Well, she is a lot more negative about it. I'm trying to remain positive.
So no nuclear winter in your.
It's not my playbook. No,
Right.
it wasn't.
I just think EMP without
what-
the nuclear.
Exactly. We're all screwed. Well, I am hoping that that Trump is going to pull it out. Is that?
You guys are not. One of you is Trump.
Listen,
One's kinda like-
I'm team nobody. I'm just team conservative. I just want
Yeah.
I want us to rally. I really didn't have a horse. She had more of a horse, and I just want to win. I just
And
want to win.
my horse wore high heels and smiled weird, so my horse is gone now. He's still doing his thing in Florida, but that
You
was
shouldn't
my
probably
horse.
say high heels
his-
because that leads to a completely different
That was
picture
a
in
different
today's
candidate,
world.
right? Exactly. They
Yeah.
weren't high heels, but I
That's
didn't-
what everybody said.
I
Lifts.
just
Lifts.
wish that we were more of a rallying group. Like we would rally more and get together, and we weren't so segmented and fragmented. And I want to.
But that
I know that makes
we're
us.
individuals.
I know, and I do love that.
Yeah.
I do. But at the end of the day, to win,
I know.
we gotta I'm a team player. You know what I mean? When it comes to like team sports, we got okay. That's fine. You can all be individual and do your individual. But now we gotta win, and I
will rally.
I will rally too.
okay, and I want to win.
Yeah, I know.
I want to win.
I just
don't think
worry
it's
that
not
there's
that-
a lot of people that aren't going to rally.
I
though.
feel like there's going to be a lot of people that won't rally.
So talk to me about women.
that's who's not going to rally.
We're very difficult. We're a difficult species. No. We are. I know in your 60
No.
years, you probably
Surprise.
never noticed that.
I never have.
But there are-
being surrounded by women in my life and my
It's-
children, my girls.
It's
Haven't noticed it.
so for all the estrogen. It's so frustrating because I think a lot of women feel like they want to date these candidates. And I have never felt that way. And I feel like I'm an anomaly. Like,
I'm just thinking Bob Dole.
I don't want to date Bob Dole. Right. I don't want to date Donald Trump. You know, I don't want to date DeSantis, even though I know you thought he was Ron DeSantis. She thought
back in the Navy days.
She thought he was dreamy, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't want to date any of these guys. I just want them to run my company. You know, that's how I look at them. And, you know, we have good candidates. We've had some good candidates. And so I think we have some people, a person for the job that can do the job better than the person that we have now.
Yeah.
And I just wish women would get on board with that and not nitpick a lot of the personality things that don't need to be nitpicked so much.
When he's not president, I think Donald Trump is hysterical.
Hysterical.
When he is president, I'd like some of the comedy to stop.
Right.
You know, what the greatest thing is I've always felt that a president with a twitchy eye will stop all wars. You know what I mean? And he did it like North Korea and everybody else.
Yes.
Because
he did.
When your enemy goes, I think that guy will do it.
Yeah.
You know, he's just crazy. He might do it.
Yes.
That's Donald Trump.
Right.
But sometimes, as the American people, you're like, I think that guy might do it.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Exactly. And when Putin says he wants Biden in office rather than Trump, I mean, I feel like that's a sign that, you know, you want him in, because he's afraid of Trump. There's a little bit of a healthy fear there, and that's a good thing.
It is.
The liberals won't tell you that. The liberals will say that, oh, you know, they're BFFs. No.
Well, they also said that he destroyed the peace of the world and, you know, our reputation. I don't think so. You might have a different definition of destroyed.
Yeah.
Because I would apply that to right now.
Exactly. Yeah. They're also going to tell you that eggs aren't expensive now.
Right.
I mean, hello. Have you been to a grocery store?
And that your wages are up.
Yeah.
And everything doesn't cost a lot.
Bill Maher just does not shop for his own food, apparently.
How'd you feel about the guy from Kellogg's coming out the other day saying, you know, I know it's tight for a lot of families, but they should consider eating cereal for dinner.
Oh, my God. No. No.
Right?
I'm more of a steak girl.
Yeah. And don't you feel like there's times, and I've kind of said it less lately because I don't feel we are this anymore, but I used to be like, we're Americans.
Yes.
You know, we No. We're going to find our way out of this.
Exactly.
We're not going to settle.
Yeah.
And now it seems like, you know, we're getting to the point where it's like, can somebody just make this stop?
Yeah, exactly. Like you eat cereal. Cereals for dinner, like when Dad goes out of town. You know? Right. Like
or when you just really don't want to cook.
No,
you know
cereal for dinner is when Mom goes out of town.
That's right. That's right. But that's like extenuating circumstance, you know? And for him to go, you should just eat that for dinner. It's like, oh my gosh, what are we turning into?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like everything is preparing us to have a lower
eat
standard.
Bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
to lower our standards and be prepared to severely diminish our quality of life. I mean, everything is leading us to be prepared for that. I don't like it.
I remember in 2006, I think, I noticed something. I don't remember what the story was, but I noticed a change in the language of some of the elites. And, you know, it had always been, we're going to bring the rest of the world up to American standards. And then they said, can't be done, but we have to all be in it together. And I thought,
oh, gosh.
The only way to do that then is to bring us down to the rest of the world. That's a horrible idea.
Yes, it's horrible.
But I think that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. It's the new world order.
Yeah, the globalist mentality.
Gosh, not okay.
Of equity.
Yeah, and then we're no longer the beacon on the hill.
Yeah, there's nowhere to escape to.
Yeah, there is nowhere to escape to. Because, you know, her parents, Polish immigrants, came over here. And
You're a Polak?
I am.
Sorry,
she is. She totally is. And
How dare you?
How dare you?
She's so offended.
Right.
Yeah. But they came over here, and then I can only imagine how they feel about the state of our union.
Or any legal immigrant.
Or any
legal immigrant.
legal immigrant that came here and did it the right way, and everything that's going on right now with the border and just the state of our country.
I think it is so. I don't know why they are making up things to be offended by when there are things that actually should be offensive, and I think they are. Like Hispanics. Oh no, Hispanics all want the border open. No, they don't.
No,
Right.
they don't.
came here for a reason.
Exactly.
And that reason was to leave lawlessness. You know? And it's just assumed.
Yeah.
And to say, you know, well, the black community, it can never pull itself up. I don't know. I know a lot of successful black people. You know what I mean? And the statements that the left makes about people and about we have to protect. No.
Yeah.
No.
It's the soft bigotry of low expectations.
We would have never crossed the Missouri or Mississippi River with this. Never. Never.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And legal immigrants, I think, too, and the children of them have a much higher love and appreciation for being American, I think, than so many U.S.-born people. I mean, it's remarkable how much more patriotism legal immigrants have. How excited!
Yes.
Who was it that we just talked about becoming a U.S. Dolph Lundgren?
Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
Yep.
And he was so excited.
Oh my gosh,
Right?
yeah.
And that's the spirit when you see those naturalization ceremonies that are always so moving, because those people really cared about becoming American, not just
And
getting
it's
into the
not
country.
an easy choice.
No,
Right.
it's not.
You have
No.
to say, to be an American citizen, you have to say, I disavow.
Yes.
I mean, I have a friend who's Scottish, and if you know a Scot, they're Scottish.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
Yeah, right. It's, I mean, Scotland built America, according to him. And he'll like, Carnegie. You know who Carnegie was. Anyway, but he wrestles with, I have to leave that part. And it took him a while before he saw, no, to be an American doesn't mean government, doesn't mean it. It means this. And now he's really excited. I want those people to be American.
Yeah, it's like a born again Christian. They remind me of born again Christians because they're the most excited about their faith. It's or somebody who like converts to a religion later in life because they're the most excited about their faith. They weren't born into it. They don't take it for granted.
Right.
You know.
Non-smokers, alcoholics that are in recovery.
Yes. Yes.
We've seen the other side.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
Yes,
They know.
that's
They've lived it.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So, what would wake up the suburban mob? Let me ask you this way. I think what's happening with the men and women is completely, I was going to say natural, but that's not scientific anymore. Guys are built to be, just through, our biology, we are built to be the protector. We're geared to be the provider. We're geared to be the one that's looking over the horizon. Women are geared to be the nurturer. This is not universally true, of course, of either sex, but they're meant to be the nurturer. They're the ones. If guys, we would be burping, farting, and killing each other if we were by ourselves. Okay.
And sometimes when you're with us.
Right.
Yeah,
well, after a few years.
Right. I mean, what are you
gonna do? But there's that balance. Okay. So what's happening again is just to the extreme. The younger guys are all becoming much more conservative. And I think that's because they're seeing, no, there's trouble coming.
Yep.
And women, because there is trouble here that's on TV all the time now of suffering, they're becoming more lefty.
Oh my God, it's terrifying.
It is. But they're being ruled by the emotion of, we've got to help, which is completely understandable. But the two sexes have been cut off from what they're really supposed to be.
Yep.
And so they're drifting further and further apart.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially because if assuming that's the case, then men, as they become more conservative, are attracted. They're less attractive to those women who are becoming more liberal. They want the soft, sensitive,
manlit
soy boys.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's what they want.
And so this is like a genuine population concern.
It's a concern.
Because how are they going to couple up if they're no longer, they're literally disattracted to each other?
It happens at the end of every empire, though. This exact same thing.
Okay, that's super depressing.
I know. Roman Empire, men became women. I mean, just...
Well, I mean, like, where are the parents in this? Because, you have 4 kids. Mm-hmm. I've got 3. I have 2 stepkids that are older, and then my 14-year-old. And I will say all of our kids, for the most part, so far, are conservative. And we had a big hand in that. Now, once they go off to college, then you're
doomed.
You're doomed.
Yeah,
right?
I had 4.
In this day and age, you're doomed.
Yeah, I had 4. Had.
Yeah.
College then.
Yeah, college. This is the thing. And that's, but that's, I guess that's part of it is parenting. You've got to expose them to as much as you can to teach them.
But I think you can, but once you're in.
To a point.
We are such a society geared towards, well, he's the expert. Mm-hmm. I don't know. He's the expert. So they come back, and you know how kids at that age think about their parents. Right. They don't think they know anything. Well, yeah. Well, he's the expert. You're wrong about everything, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, where are the parents that are willing to say, no college?
No college. I'm not paying for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which nowadays, it's becoming useless. College is useless.
Completely useless. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's making you into a protester.
Right. And there's only a few fields of study that you really need college, and they're very few and far between. Like if you want to become a doctor, maybe, or an engineer,
yeah.
Which is my daughter wants to be an engineer, or I can't even think of maybe a lawyer. I don't know. Who wants to be a lawyer? Does anybody? Do we need more of those? I don't know.
My son was talking about something that was like way over my head recently. I don't remember what it was, and he's like, "Yeah, I was just, watching MIT online, and he's watching a class. You can audit,
yes.
You can't get the grade, but who cares if you have the certificate?
Exactly. You just want the knowledge." Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of these kids too are so caught up in, I want to go to an Ivy. I want to do this. It's impressive to have the name. It's like, is it? Is it impressive? Anymore. Because not anymore. Have you seen Harvard? Have you seen MIT? Have you seen like what some of these colleges are doing? They're anti-Semitic, gross. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why would you want to be associated with that?
It's like we've all seen behind the curtain now. You know, as a result of like the hearings about the anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Now people are really paying attention, and the plagiarism, all of that stuff.
Yep.
I think when they started going after the kids in school.
Yes.
That's because that ticked off every mother, except the most left.
Right.
Yep. Not okay.
And the teachers that they're hiring anymore. I mean, I get that there's a shortage.
You talking about K through 12, or are you talking about in college?
Yeah. There's a shortage
especially.
Because they drove everyone else out.
Right. Yes, during
they
COVID.
did this with the military. Mm-hmm. They did it with education. Mm-hmm. They're doing it they did it with medicine.
Yeah.
Yep.
You disagree, you're out. Mm-hmm. That's really scary.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's scary?
Well, because, I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, how when we go to a doctor, we hope that they're our age or older, because then we have faith that they were trained as medical doctors and not activists. They were trained not to they weren't trained to be woke. And now it's a requirement. That's the most important thing over any medical field of study. And so I worry if I ever get into, an emergency situation or a medical situation and there's somebody that's in their 30s, I'm like, Same with pilots. You want every pilot to look like Captain Sully. Everyone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, then you're now hearing about, I don't even remember which airline. Was it I
can't keep track because they all suck now.
They all talking about the DEI requirements.
Doesn't it seem like...
And the wings are falling off. And like,
well, that's because Boeing went woke.
Exactly.
They went woke and they fired all of the real good engineers. I grew up around Boeing. My family used to work for Boeing.
Yeah.
And that was a great engineering company. Mm-hmm. my uncle, who used to do inspections for Boeing, he said, don't ever fly a plane that's not Boeing. He said, I watch and I know what others build, and I watch every screw. I'm looking at those planes. There's so many things that can go wrong with them.
Oh my gosh.
Don't fly anything but a Boeing. So I was raised on that. Now I get onto a plane and I look, is that a Boeing? Because I don't feel comfortable on a Boeing.
And they're so
That's
open
horrible.
about
Crazy.
their desire to hire based on skin color, or you know what I mean? They're being so open and brazen about it that's terrifying.
Well, what was I think it was United Airlines?
The drag queen,
Yeah.
the CEO. Yeah.
What the?
Yeah. I mean, that's super important, though, Glenn.
Not really.
I mean, he's got to
I
show
want
everybody that he can dance, okay?
I want the same number of takeoffs as there are landings.
Right.
Okay, or landings
You're
as there
not
are.
interested in his dancing skills?
No,
Come on.
I'm really no.
You're not
I mean,
interested.
that's terrifying. And then
It is.
add to that the fact that now, kids that are coming up through the ranks to be if they're blue collar workers, they're working, they're waving the planes in, for example,
Yeah.
or they're mechanics or whatever. Now it seems like this Gen Z generation, there is not the same level of work ethic or pride in work.
No, I
And so
haven't
you
noticed
think
that.
about like who are the people that are putting together the planes?
Right.
It's every aspect of our lives. I worry there's just people don't care about their jobs
Yeah.
anymore. You see it in the service industry all the time,
know.
right? And so
You go to a fast food restaurant now, and you're just in the drive-through. If you're treated right, it's somebody who should have been retired.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
And the rest of them are like, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you're on your phone or listening to music, but could I get a hamburger?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then the videos we've made fun of videos of some of these Gen Zers complaining about, I had to work 40 hours.
I know.
I work 40
I have to be to work at
hours.
9.
Can you believe that? I mean, I can't
Oh my
believe I
God.
worked 40 hours. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, we worked like 3 jobs at once
Yeah.
and like had to eat ramen noodles for 10 years. And it's insane. How do you combat that?
Yeah,
I don't
how do you
even-
get that back? That like the work ethic, that spirit of wanting to contribute.
and wanting to. It's not even forcing them to do it, but we wanted to do it. You wanted to do that because you wanted to have something at the end of the day that you could call yours.
It doesn't matter anymore. There
Yeah.
was an article that I read back in the 90s or maybe right after 2000, and it was about the coming movement of non-ownership, all rental.
Oh yeah.
You don't own anything.
Yes.
All the way to your clothes. And it was a philosophical article, and it said, what happens to a civilization that was built on ownership, pride of ownership?
Yes.
And I want to take care of it because it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to that society? And I think we're seeing what happens to
That's
that.
exactly.
Totally.
RFK Jr. was just talking about that.
Really?
He was talking about how hard it is for 20-somethings at this point to even think about having their own home at one point, and how if he becomes president, one of his missions is to make it possible for people to finance homes easier, however he plans to do that, whatever. But he made that exact point, that when people can own homes, they care not just about their homes, but their communities and their neighborhoods and what those look like and who moves in. And it matters to people so much more than when you're just renting and you're just filling up a space temporarily. I mean, it's a big deal.
That guy's going to be the dark horse, I think.
He's going to screw some stuff
He's going
up.
to screw some stuff
Oh, he's
up.
going to screw some stuff
Yeah,
up.
because I hate to say it, but a lot of stuff that he says I do like, even though I know that he's truly a liberal. I mean, I don't.
Oh, no. He's not a liberal.
He's
like hardcore left on some things.
Right.
Like the environment. I had him on CNN, and my producer just reminded me of this because I said, he at one point called for my death.
Are you serious?
Oh, called for my execution.
What?
I was a climate denier. Called for
Get
my
out.
execution.
Well, so am I.
Yeah, I know.
So-
But I'm not. I believe climate is always changing.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So, but he called, and my producer said, Glenn, he didn't say that. He didn't just say that someplace. He said it to your face on your show. And I had completely
and you
forgotten.
did it real? Oh my gosh.
Because I remember I was like, wait.
When was
wait.
it? When?
2005, 5, 6, somewhere in that area.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And he had what was he doing then?
Just being a Kennedy.
He was just being a Kennedy. He was just like living off the Kennedy fortune.
I don't know what any Kennedy does.
He was in Hyannisport, just living off the fortune. Yes. That must be nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So he's like, because I have a really hard a guy who called for my death.
I would have a hard
to your
time.
face.
And to my face, and I like some of the stuff he says.
Right.
You know, and I'm like,
this is the thing.
I like that. And I have to remember,
You wanted
he
me to
wanted
die.
to execute
I
you.
feel like there's a little conflict there.
Right.
Yeah.
Might not be in my best interest to campaign for it.
Exactly.
And you don't think he's softened on any of those positions at all?
Like 2A, he's said.
He seems softer.
2A's a little weird with him too. I mean, he said some stuff about 2A in the past, and then I don't know where he stands on that now.
I don't think he's changed. I think he has seen the moment of opportunity, and he's de-emphasizing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he's a politician.
Who do you think he's going to take more votes from?
Well, in women.
Or just across the board?
But I think women who see the insanity, they'll look at Trump, they'll look at Biden, and they'll look at RFK, and they'll go RFK.
Yeah, because he's like a jacked up kangaroo. That's what he looks like, you know? Is he not?
He is a jacked up kangaroo.
Yeah.
And he picks up snakes.
He does.
And it's kind of hot.
He just is in the... It is kind of hot to some women. Poor shorts. You know, we come full circle. Yeah.
Who do you think he'll pull from?
I used to think it would be Trump, and now it seems like most of the more recent polls are showing that he's pulling from both.
But
and I don't know.
I don't believe polls, though.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
It's all.
Look at that. You're so cute. You're like, oh yeah, that implies you believe in something.
I know. I'm a nonconformist. I refuse to believe in the polls. I just don't. I don't want to believe them because they've let me down in the past. I can't believe in the polls.
That's because nobody trusts each other anymore. I'm not going to tell you what I think.
Right. And nobody has that. And no one's ever asked me.
Yeah,
I've never participated in a poll. So where are these polls? Where are they?
How do you get on that list?
It's like the cloud. No one understands them. Don't understand it.
It's going to be interesting, though. He's going to shake some things up.
He's going to screw some things up. And then isn't there if Nikki does this whole no labels thing,
she's already said she won't.
She's not doing it.
She
Okay.
won't.
She's done.
How'd you feel about Nikki Haley? She's a woman, so women must like her.
Well, actually, we did, Glenn. We liked her. We've interviewed her, and I liked her. Back on our radio days, she would come on. Remember, she stumped for the governor of Indiana, who proved to be a huge disappointment.
Yeah.
So that was good for her record.
I like her too. I think she's
as a person, she's lovely as a person. But I kind of wish she would have dropped out a little bit earlier than she did.
And I get why she's staying in, because she sees that
there could be trouble.
And so much of the country just does not want this rematch. And so she's holding out hope that she can reach those people in some of these, maybe these Super Tuesday states. I have no idea.
She's a little too...
She's not going to, though.
No,
and
she's not. She is more, the way she's positioned herself, she's more Mitch McConnell.
Yes.
And we don't need that.
Very warmongery.
That is over.
Very,
That's over.
very worry. And that is not...
Yeah.
She's very, yay, Ukraine, let's, and I just, no.
But I am surprised, I will say, that, whenever she comes up in our daily show, whether we're just playing a soundbite from her or talking about her for whatever reason, the hatred that our audience has for her is like off the charts.
Yes.
It's nuts.
Yeah, they do not.
And it's not warranted. I mean, it's just over the top.
It is a little over the top. Like, calm down, everybody.
Yeah.
But wait, is it because every 4 years we go through this? And I hate primary season.
Same.
It's brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, because the audience.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the mail or the email that I got and the posts that I got, Glenn's clearly for Trump because of this. Glenn's clearly for DeSantis because of this. He's clearly for Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
And it's like, guys, I'm doing my job equally on all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to do the same thing too. Like, she actually did have a horse, and she was very open about that, but I didn't.
But she likes guys in high heels.
She does like the guys in high heels.
And we've come full circle again.
Yeah. Totally. But I mean, we try to give all angles. And we will make fun of people too. We will criticize everybody. And people don't like that either. Like
you can't criticize Trump.
You can't criticize Trump.
You cannot.
People don't like that. But I mean, sometimes you got to criticize the guy. We criticize everybody.
He warrants quite a bit of criticism from time to time.
I think that we all should do that with each other. We criticize ourselves. That's what we do. You should do that. You should have some humility.
And that's I think one of the things that's made me angriest about the Trump loyalists is this concept that he has promoted of loyalty to him. I don't like that. It really, really rubs me the wrong way.
Me
and
too.
I don't like that he was so nasty in his attacks to the primary contenders, especially DeSantis, who has done more for freedom in this country than so many other leaders have.
It's really weird. He has, do you guys know him?
No. Trump? No.
Yeah. So he's a different man in person. He's a lot.
That's what we hear all the time.
He's just a normal, nice, really nice guy.
I believe that. Yeah.
And it's weird because he demands such loyalty. You say something against him, you're on a list.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
I am on the list.
You're on the list,
Oh yeah,
man.
you're
For sure.
You're dead.
on it.
You're dead to him.
Just for the shorts.
Yeah. However, he can rip people apart and then turn around and go, "You're the greatest." You know what I mean? It's like
Ted Cruz, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His wife,
right.
and like, I mean, he's a
His dad.
perfect example.
I think they killed the Kennedys. What?
It's just,
Ted is the greatest. We have always had a great
oh my
relationship.
God, your impression is so great.
Yeah.
I haven't mastered that one
No,
yet.
I haven't had that one. She does a good Bernie Sanders.
No, it's
though.
actually not very
It's
good.
pretty good.
No.
I like
Let's
it.
hear it.
Why do you gotta bring me in? I can't do it. I can't.
I love it.
You horse shorts. I know. It's not as good as his Trump.
I love it.
It's not.
I love it.
She loves it, but she's my best friend, so she laughs at all my jokes, which is why we're best friends. That's why.
Can you guys come back?
Oh
We
my
would
gosh, we
love
would
it.
love to.
Yeah.
We're
You guys-
allowed?
Yeah,
my
you are
gosh. I
hysterical.
So we didn't do anything terribly
Oh,
wrong.
you did all the terrible things.
I mean, I said some
Well,
things.
we've been going at it for over an hour, and the podcast will probably end up being about 12 minutes.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
Please just cut out like the gay and retarded
Yeah,
thing.
no.
Just leave that
That's
part
out.
out.
Unfortunately, we never
totally
make
out.
edits, so
totally out.
you got to live with that, girl.
We're done.
Yeah.
It's
Thank
been
you so much
Absolute
for having
joy.
us.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yes, thank you.